The tabloids weren't slapped with the news discreetly. It blew out. On its first page, TMZ included a blurry courthouse photo with the caption, "Arrest warrant issued. Kody Brown in financial freefall." By mid-morning, the news was pinned at the top of every Facebook fan group, Instagram gossip account, and entertainment blogger. According to the court records, Kody had allegedly fallen behind on a $480,000 bank loan associated with a failed development proposal for Coyote Pass. The payments ceased months ago, despite the bank's repeated attempts to collect. Furthermore, a judge had approved an arrest warrant after the defendant disregarded formal notifications and did not show up for a scheduled hearing. In Flagstaff, rumors spread more quickly than the August heat. Neighbors were guessing even before the documents were made public. Some said they had witnessed a sheriff's deputy driving by Kody's cul-de-sac early that morning. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel TLC Flicks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Robin was pacing the living room of the expansive Flagstaff house she had battled so hard to maintain, her phone in her hand so firmly that her knuckles were white. 3 calls to Kody had already gone unanswered. "He's avoiding me too now," she said in a tremulous voice. Stacks of unread mail, including credit card bills, legal letters, and bank notices, towered over the coffee table like a paper mountain of doom. Wide-eyed, Brianna and Aurora listened to their mother's half-whispered phone calls while seated on the couch. This time, Robin did not protect them from truth since it could no longer be concealed. Kody sounded defensive, almost haughty, when he finally called back. "Kody, the bank is simply being dramatic, Robin. I have a strategy." "Robin, a strategy? They say there's a warrant, Kody. The sheriff might, Kody, they won't. All of this is a fear tactic." "I'm not concerned." When Mary received the news, she immediately called Janelle while she was in Utah. Since leaving Kody's home, the 2 women had become closer, and they now communicated virtually every day. Janelle's voice was brimming with incredulity when she responded. "Tell me you're kidding, Janelle. A warrant for arrest?" "Mary, it's no joke. Every gossip website already has it." "Janelle, well, I can't say I'm shocked. For years, he has been avoiding reality." This struck a chord with Janelle. She had seen Kody's infatuation with Coyote Pass devour her own savings. Even if it didn't return her money, witnessing him deal with the public legal repercussions felt like a perverted kind of justice. Mary, however, experienced more conflict. Yes, she harbored years of resentment toward Kody, but she also understood the damage that could be done to a person by public humiliation. Nevertheless, the irony was too great for either woman to overlook. Kody had always insisted on being respected as the head of the family, and now his name was being read aloud in court as a debtor who was in danger of being arrested. The realization of the warrant was formally served by a Coconino County Sheriff's Office deputy by late afternoon. According to the court order, Kody may be arrested at any public appearance, yes, even during filming, if he did not show up voluntarily. Meanwhile, TLC was experiencing a crisis. Their concerns were exposed by a network executive's leaked email. If Kody is arrested on camera, this becomes a legal liability issue. "We need to speak with production ASAP about contingency filming." According to rumors, producers were already thinking about refocusing the entire program on the wives, particularly Mary and Janelle, in the event that Kody's legal issues worsened. The public conflict residents of Flagstaff witnessed a spectacle they will never forget 2 days later. Kody was seen yelling on the phone at a nearby gas station. Papers littered the seat of his truck, and the door was open. Shortly afterward, a deputy's car arrived at his rear. According to witnesses, Kody and the officer's conversation became heated. The deputy gave Kody a formal summons but wasn't present to make an immediate arrest just yet. The message was unambiguous: appear in court or face handcuffs at the next meeting. The entire conversation was captured on camera. By evening, the video had gone viral. The comment sections were brutal, with some people making fun of him and others speculating about Robin's possible take on this. The breaking point for Robin that evening: Robin sat in the dimly lit living room, her tear-streaked face illuminated by the light from her phone. She read through hundreds of comments that referred to her as the spender, the enabler, and the reason he's broke. She gave in to the temptation to imagine her life without Kody for the first time. The fear of falling with him was beginning to take the place of the fear of losing him. Courtroom collisions before dawn. The downtown Flagstaff courthouse was humming. It was a show rather than merely a hearing. Local station camera teams positioned themselves on the front steps in the hopes of capturing Kody Brown entering with his signature assurance. Sister Wives fans set up camp on the pavement, holding homemade placards that read, "Pay your bills, Kody," and "Justice for Janelle." The mood was heavy within. The courtroom, which had high ceilings, had a subtle scent of stress and ancient wood. As they waited for the man of the hour, court officials continued to watch the double doors. Kody arrived at exactly 8:58 a.m., dressed in jeans and his Gouda leather jacket instead of a suit, his hair a bit too neatly styled for someone in legal hot water. With her hand clutching his arm as if she could physically ground him to the present, Robin was glued to his side. The room was filled with whispers. Cameras swung. In the second row, Mary and Janelle sat next to each other, but their faces were expressionless. Janelle's expression was the composed composure of someone who had been anticipating this moment for years, while Mary's lips were pushed together. Kody averted his gaze from them. The middle-aged woman judge, whose voice could cut through glass, didn't waste any time. "Judge, Mr. You're here, Brown, because you haven't fulfilled your end of a $480,000 bank debt. You have compelled this court to issue an arrest warrant because you have disregarded notices and missed necessary appearances." Kody moved around on his chair, looking out to the gallery as if he were performing for a crowd. "Kody, this is all getting blown out of proportion, Your Honor. My company, Judge. Mr. This isn't a reality show, Brown. This is a legal court. You will either pay off the loan or be sent in custody." Mary makes her voice heard after a little break. Kody and Mary finally met eyes. His eyes flickered uneasily as he flashed her a smirk that was supposed to convey confidence. Mary got up, approached him directly, and spoke loud enough for the cameras to record. "Mary, you claim to be the guardian at all times. The head. However, leaders don't abandon their families while they play business and buy toys." Robin's face reddened. "This isn't the place," Robin said. "Mary, it's the exact location. Together, you two created this disaster." Robin's face reddened. "This isn't the place," Robin said. "Mary, it's the exact location. Together, you two created this disaster." Kody's poise faltered for a moment, his eyes narrowing and his mouth clenching. However, a court officer ordered everyone back inside before he could fire back. The judge's order, the judge didn't hold back when the proceedings restarted. "Judge, Mr. Brown, you will be arrested if you don't make a sizable payment on this debt within 30 days. This cannot be negotiated." Kody gave a rigid nod, but his shoulders betrayed his will. Robin's palm tightened its grip on his arm, but even she was unable to conceal her lips trembling. Kody was surrounded by paparazzi as he left the courthouse. He merely smiled thinly for the cameras without commenting. Mary and Janelle, however, remained behind and spoke softly to reporters to ensure that the public was aware of the length of time this storm had been building. When Kody started making desperate calls from his truck, parked in the corner of a grocery store lot in Flagstaff, the humiliation at the courthouse hadn't even left the news. When he was trapped, his voice usually sounded keen but low. "Kody, hey, I need a 30-day short-term loan. I have land, I have assets." Unknown caller, "Mr. Brown, there is a disagreement over your land. Additionally, to be honest, your credit status, Kody, ignore the praise. My name is Kody Brown. I'm well known. Publicity is what this is." But in Flagstaff, Utah, and the corporate circles he had previously attempted to impress, name recognition no longer opened wallets. Polite rejections, clumsy excuses, and the occasional crude hang-up marked the conclusion of every call. Robin was back at home, sitting at the dining table with a legal pad full of scrawls and her laptop open. The smell of cold coffee and overdue bills permeated the strained air in the room. The reality she refused to say out loud was revealed by her search history: how to shield assets from debt incurred by a spouse. Under Arizona law, separate bank accounts, divided property prior to bankruptcy. She had no intention of leaving Kody just yet. However, she had 3 children and a house that might be easily pulled into his legal quagmire. She knew the judge meant business because she had witnessed enough in court. Aurora hovered in the entrance. "Aurora, Will we lose the house, Mom? Robin, no, sweetheart. If I can avoid it, no. The Sister Wives production crew and TLC execs were on a conference call in Los Angeles. Before speaking, a senior executive cleared her throat. Executive, the risk must be addressed. We're looking at insurance issues, sponsor outrage, and possibly even legal culpability if Cody gets arrested while shooting. There was silence in the room until someone else spoke. Producer, the wives are becoming more engaged, particularly Mary and Janelle. When they stand up for themselves and call him out, viewers adore it. If we cut him off and concentrate on them. The message was strong. Cody might end up playing a supporting role in his own program. Mary's methodical action, even though Mary was back in Utah, she still retained the spirit of the courthouse. She shared an enigmatic Instagram story with just one quote set against a black backdrop. Maya Angelou once said, "Believe someone the first time when they show you who they are." Speculation sprung out among her followers. The timing wasn't coincidental. In private, she went straight to the source, sending an email to TLC producers proposing to do a new program about her business endeavors and life after Cody. Cody's name appeared on Janelle's phone late that night. Curiosity won over, and she nearly didn't respond. "Cody, I need to discuss Coyote Pass with Janelle. Perhaps I can stall the bank if I can persuade them that I have progress underway." Janelle, "Cody, no. I will never again invest $1 in that land. Not one. This bed was constructed by you." "You don't understand. Everything goes down with me," said Cody. Janelle, "Perhaps you should go down now." Cody sat at the kitchen table that evening and gazed at the pile of past due notifications. For the first time in years, he had no one to call who could help him. His phone was silent, and his leather jacket was slung over a chair. The Stranger and the Leaks, another headline, sparked the morning. But this one went beyond the warrant itself. Sources. Amid a debt crisis, Robin Brown is discreetly removing assets from Cody. According to an insider cited in the report, Robin had already discussed splitting her funds with a Flagstaff lawyer. Even a hazy picture of her exiting a downtown law office with her sunglasses covering her eyes and her hair put back in a tight bun was published. Social media was ruthless by lunchtime, and the news was on every gossip page. Trending hashtags were #SaveYourselfRobin and Robin jumps ship. Cody's fury, the article's printout crumpled in his fist. Cody ran into the living room. "Cody, you saw a lawyer without telling me?" Robin, "Cody, I went to get advice. Because you're going to bring us all down with you." "So you just feed the tabloids?" asked Cody. "Do you believe this gives us a strong appearance?" Voices echoed around the home as the debate grew more heated. In an attempt to keep it out, Brianna closed the door to her bedroom upstairs. The media overflow talk shows were analyzing the Browns' collapse by the end of the afternoon. The courthouse footage was accompanied by snippets of previous Sister Wives programs, which portrayed Cody as the mastermind behind his own demise. Cody allegedly asked that the network pay a personal tax bill as part of production expenses, according to a former TLC crew member who even made an appearance on a YouTube livestream. The chat room was filled with laughing emojis and requests for the IRS to check his books next. Mary's public declaration. Mary took advantage of the situation while Cody raged. She didn't specifically name Cody when she went live on Instagram, but it was clear who she was referring about. Mary, making errors and not accepting responsibility are two different things. You can leave dysfunction. I hope everybody seeing this realizes. You are capable of rebuilding. Within hours, her following grew to tens of thousands of viewers. TLC producers paid attention. The unfamiliar Cody's phone buzzed that night with an unfamiliar number when he was sitting in his truck in a dark parking lot. Something inside of him picked it up before he could let it go to voicemail. Voice, Cody Brown. It has been a long time. Cody, who's this person? Voice. Let's pretend that I was present before the cameras were set up. I am aware of where the money has gone and how to retrieve it. The voice sounded confident and smooth. It belonged to a person he had trusted before burning that bridge, back when he didn't have television. Voice, however, there is a cost for my assistance. A large one. Cody weighed pride against desperation as he gazed into the darkness through the glass. The Devil's Deal. Cody was seated at a corner table in a completely deserted cafe in Flagstaff, the type with burnt paper coffee and old vinyl booths. Darren Holt, whose name Kody hadn't said in more than 15 years, was standing across from him. Before the TLC cameras and the celebrity, Darren was a real estate partner in Kody's early Utah days. Their company had collapsed at the time due to allegations of mishandled money, which Darren insisted were Kody's responsibility. But here he was, grinning as if they had known each other for ages. Darren, Kody, I know people. Individuals who will write a check large enough to nullify that bank warrant. What's the catch? Asked Kody. Half of Coyote Pass, said Darren. Written down. Today. Kody's stomach turned around. Half the country? The one item he continued to boast about possessing? He immediately felt that pride wasn't enough to sustain him after seeing the judge's icy gaze in court. Robin learns Robin was at home looking through real estate records on the internet while Kody and Darren were nursing burnt coffee. At that moment, she noticed that a transfer of ownership application for half of Coyote Pass was still waiting. Only a few hours ago. Her stomach fell. He had remained silent. Her voice trembled as she summoned him. Robin, what did you do, Kody? Kody, calm down. I'm taking care of it. Robin, under control? By ceding our territory to an old foe? Even if we have a future, do you care? Before she could finish, Kody hung up. The big play of Mary and Janelle TLC, meanwhile, was getting ready for what they subtly dubbed the Wives Special, a one-hour primetime program in which Mary and Janelle, neither Robin nor Kody, would candidly discuss life after ending the multiple marriage. Pre-interview, Janelle didn't mince words. I lost my savings, said Janelle. Years of my life were lost. For what purpose? So Kody didn't need a permit to play developer? Mary leaned closer. Mary, the problem with narcissists is that they don't realize the harm they're doing until someone points a camera at them. They had gold, the makers knew. The tabloids received an anonymous tip 2 days before to the special's airing, stating that Kody Brown is in talks to sell half of Coyote Pass to a former business rival with criminal ties. When the name Darren Holt appeared on Twitter, amateur investigators began looking into his own dubious past. Kody's attempt to buy time now appeared to be just another issue on the verge of blowing up. The final call of the evening, Robin sat with her phone on the back porch that evening. It had been months since she had called Mary. Robin, we must speak. Concerning Kody. Almost everything. With exposed brick walls and indie music playing in the background, the meeting was held in the rear corner of a peaceful coffee shop in Flagstaff. Wearing a ball cap and huge sunglasses, Robin crept inside and looked around the room before noticing Mary and Janelle seated at a tiny table. For the first time in years, the three of them were together without Kody. Getting to know each other, there was silence for a moment. Robin kept looking toward the door as if she thought Kody would suddenly barge in. Mary sipped black coffee, and Janelle stirred her tea. The silence was finally broken by Mary. Mary, so Robin, why now? Because he's not listening to me anymore, Robin said. Since we all run the risk of losing everything. Additionally, she said, I don't want my kids to have to pay for his mess. Only a little. Janelle's expression relaxed. Janelle, Robin, you were aware of his personality. As he sucked us empty, you stood up for him. Robin, I understand. I was mistaken. However, I can assure you that this situation involving Darren Holt will exacerbate everything. To that man, he is selling part of Coyote Pass. A manila envelope was slid across the table by Robin. There were printed bank letters, property filings, and a copy of Darren's background check, which revealed several lawsuits and a 2009 fraud conviction. This is bad, said Mary. Robin, perhaps we can stop him if you two assist me. Perhaps we can convince the court and the bank that he is unfit to manage that property. Janelle crossed her arms and leaned back. You're asking us to publicly oppose him, said Janelle. Please save what's left before he burns it all, Robin said. Kody steps up. Kody was signing draft agreements in Darren Holt's home office at that very moment. The two guys, each certain that they were receiving the better part of the bargain, chuckled like old battle friends. Darren, you will get over this in 30 days. Believe me. This is the beginning of a comeback, said Kody. Kody was unaware, however, that a local reporter who had been tipped off by someone at the coffee shop was already investigating the trade and was ready to publish a front-page expose on Sunday. Mary glanced back at Robin from Janelle in the coffee shop. Mary, there is no turning back if we take this action. He will come after us all. Janelle, he did it already. We are just now beginning to push back. Robin's eyes appeared to be filled with resolve rather than fear for the first time. Then let's do it, said Robin. The exposé in Flagstaff. Sunday mornings were often leisurely, with peaceful streets, brewing coffee, and the distant ring of church bells. The Arizona Republic's front page, however, came as a thunderclap that morning. The headline, Sister Wives Star in Shady Land Deal with Convicted Fraudster Subhead. Exclusive. A partner with a criminal history, court debt, and a covert property transfer. It was a harsh article. It described the Darren Holt sale in great detail, including court documents, previous litigation, Holt's criminal history, and how Cody had transferred half of Coyote Pass without informing the bank or the court that was managing his debt case. Unnamed close family sources were cited in a sidebar column as expressing concern that Cody's choices might destroy what little is left. It was obvious that the sources were Mary, Janelle, or Robin. The tale was widely circulated by midday. Even mainstream media like NBC News ran with it, as did TMZ and Entertainment Tonight. On Twitter and TikTok, Sister Wives hashtags went viral, with the majority of them making fun of Cody's comeback plan. TLC's Public Relations Division released a brief statement. We are aware that Cody Brown is involved in continuing legal issues. The network stays silent about ongoing legal battles. Producers were already planning different shooting schedules behind the scenes that would involve less Cody. Cody's Rage Cody was sitting at the kitchen table, holding a newspaper in one hand and a phone in the other. He was wearing white knuckles. This is a hit job, said Cody. They were fed this by someone. Someone around. Robin folded her arms and stood opposite him. Robin, perhaps if you hadn't carried out the transaction behind everyone's back. Cody, Robin, don't start. No, you don't start, Robin said. I am now bound to your mess since you put my name on the land title without telling me. When the yelling became too loud, Solomon stepped downstairs, looking frightened. Robin's expression softened as she turned to face him, but Cody remained irate. Cody received a certified letter 2 days later calling him back to court, this time on suspicion of transferring property fraudulently when there was an outstanding debt warrant. In the letter, the judge's tone was abrasive. Failure to appear will result in immediate enforcement of the existing arrest warrant. Cody was aware that if he failed to appear, the next time he saw flashing lights, it would be in the rearview mirror of a patrol car rather than for a television team. The silent triumph of the women Mary, Robin, and Janelle sent brief snippets of information in a group text thread called CB Recovery Plan. Bank representatives agreed to meet next week, Mary said. I'll bring the documents. Janelle, the reporter, confirmed that they are investigating Holt's previous transactions. Robin, the land transfer isn't final yet, according to the court clerk. We can stop it if we move quickly. The three were moving together for the first time, not out of camaraderie, but out of need. They all realized at that very instant what Cody did not. His days of being untouchable were over. The warrant-serving day that morning, the sun over Flagstaff peeked through thin gray clouds, illuminating the streets with a faint, almost tentative light. The world seemed to be holding its breath on this particular morning, which was exactly in sync with what was going to unfold in Cody Brown's life. Online forums were analyzing every detail, neighbors were chatting over fences, and former Sister Wives fans were uploading blurry cell phone footage of Cody pacing outside his house at strange hours. The stories had been circulating for weeks. No one knew when the hammer would fall, even though the arrest warrant news had been leaked days earlier. Cody was pacing the house once more, his hair wild from restless sleep and his shirt half-buttoned. He had spent the most of the night attempting to get in touch with his friend in the bank's legal division in order to negotiate a last-minute arrangement. Pale-faced, Robin sat at the kitchen table with her phone in hand. She would occasionally look at him while speaking in a quiet but anxious tone. Cody, I believe it's today, she muttered, her voice faltering. His eyes flashed and he halted in mid-step. No. Instead, they would give me an opportunity to make this right. I have been phoning. The deep, distinct rumbling of a diesel engine rolled across the still morning air before he could continue. Cody jerked his head in the direction of the window. The Flagstaff Police Department pulled to the curb in a black and white SUV. There was a simple sedan behind it. Two officers emerged, one wearing a black suit and the other in uniform. As Robin arose, her chair squealed against the tile. Oh God. The knock was purposeful and hard. At first, Cody remained still. His own heartbeat roared in his ears as he stood motionless, eyes wide. The officer in uniform yelled in a firm, authoritative voice, "Mr. Brown, Cody Wynn, due to your non-compliance with court-ordered payment arrangements for a past-due bank debt, we have an arrest warrant for you. Open the door, please." Already, the noise was drawing neighbors out of their houses. They were taping on their phones. "It's actually happening," murmured someone across the street. At last, Cody walked over to the door and pulled it open just enough to let his head out. "This is absurd. I've been attempting to resolve this with the bank." The cop in the suit interrupted him. "You've received several notices and extensions, sir. This order was given by the court. You must go outdoors for us." Robin's tone faltered. "Can't he just give his lawyer a call beforehand, please?" The officer's voice remained forceful but composed. "We've given him plenty of chances, ma'am. A bench warrant is what this is. We must take him in immediately." As Cody stepped outdoors, trying to keep his dignity intact, the tension in the air grew. But the fact remained, cold metal cuffs clicked shut behind his back, pulling his wrists. The audience gasped as they watched. "I guess you can't sweet-talk your way out of this one, Cody," someone yelled. As Robin saw the guy who previously had the confidence of a patriarch being carried down his own driveway, she covered her lips and started crying. The words reverberated down the quiet street as the officer read him his rights. Cody's eyes went to the people watching as they loaded him into the back of the police SUV. Some were genuinely smirking, some were asking questions, and some were holding up phones. His chest burned with embarrassment. Robin stood motionless on the porch with her arms encircling her body as the SUV departed. The cameras continued to record. And somewhere, in homes miles away, Mary and Janelle finally saw the moment they never imagined, the news alert flashing across their screens. However, they were both aware that this was just the start. The tipping point that morning in Flagstaff, the wind was piercing and brought a sense of dread that appeared to encircle the already shattered lives of the Brown family. The roads were crusted with ice and snow stuck to the rooflines, but the storm was legal, financial, and intensely personal inside the Brown home and had nothing to do with the weather. The floorboards had been squeaking beneath Cody's restless feet as he paced since the break of day. His shirt was crumpled, his hair was a tangled mess, and his eyes were filled with the restless anxiety of a guy who had been up all night chasing plans that never came to pass. The official notification, an arrest warrant issued for him due to the outstanding bank loan he had vowed to address months ago, was lying on the coffee table like a serpent coiled to strike. Robin sat opposite him, her knees slightly bent as if she tried to get away from the situation. She had already smudged her mascara, she had shed a tear or two and was preparing for a third. Cody's voice wavered between anger and desperation as he murmured, This is a misunderstanding. It's just bureaucratic bullshit and paperwork delays." "They are unable to," Robin interrupted, her voice sharp but thin. "They can. They will. And what's worse, the children will witness it. It will be seen by the neighbors. Those who still believe you to be the ideal parent figure. Enough." Cody yelled and slammed his hand so forcefully against the coffee table that the mugs clattered. "Would you mind telling me how awful this looks? Robin, I created this family. Even when they turned away, I carried them all. They want to see me burn now?" Robin was about to answer when the door was knocked on 3 times, so hard that they both froze. It wasn't a friend's casual tap or a neighbor's soft knock. This was heavy and intentional. Cody looked at Robin, his heart thumping loudly in his ears. "Avoid responding," he muttered. This time the knocking was louder. Then a voice, silent, authoritative, unflinching, "Mr. Flagstaff Police Department, Brown. We have to talk to you." Robin gasped for air. Cody retreated from the door as if it were a firewall. He shouted, completely forgetting that they already had a warrant in hand. "They're not coming in without one." Robin's voice broke as she said, "Cody, you must confront this." Their attention was drawn to the window before he could counter with the sound of tires crunching on snow. A local news vehicle was parked behind a black SUV that came into the driveway. Cody's heart fell. This was going to be made public, so it was more than simply an arrest. Janelle was sipping her coffee in her own house across town when she noticed the news alert flashing on her phone. Breaking: Sister Wives Kody Brown could be arrested in Flagstaff. With a peculiar mixture of grim satisfaction and sadness in her chest, she put down her mug. Mary's tablet displayed the same headline while she was in Utah. For a considerable amount of time, she gazed at it, the corner of her mouth slightly lifting. And the tale was already catching on like wildfire on social media. Former friends were commenting, fans were writing theories, and long-silent adversaries were suddenly speaking out. Cody was surrounded back at the house. The rhythm of the knocks had grown constant and relentless. Robin's tears now fell quietly. Kody Brown appeared, diminutive for the first time in years. What's the worst? And it wasn't even over yet. This was only the start of the public breakdown. The tipping point, every sound was strongly conveyed around the neighborhood by the chilly, thin February air in Flagstaff. Kody Brown's phone rang with a string of desperate texts from an unidentified number shortly after sunrise. When the mails continued to arrive, he eventually opened one after initially ignoring them, thinking it was another creditor or irate fan. Mr. Brown, this is Deputy Ramirez with the Coconino County Sheriff's Office. We have an active arrest warrant in your name. You are required to surrender yourself immediately to avoid a public apprehension. Cody's heart began to beat rapidly. When he realized that this wasn't a bluff, his stomach turned to mush. He had been ignoring the bank loan for months, but it had now come up with him. He had promised to arrange an extension, but it had never materialized. The phone calls he didn't answer from his attorney? They weren't just idle banter. They were warnings. Tension was already rising inside Robin's home. Robin sat at the kitchen table with her eyes puffy from sleep deprivation and her hair pulled back in an untidy bun. Before Cody had even woken up, she had been the first to learn via her lawyer that the bank's lawsuit had moved into criminal territory because of charges of deliberate deception. Robin stated in a shaky but accusatory voice, "They're saying you lied on the refinancing forms. Cody, that's more than simply a loan default." Cody paced the kitchen like an animal in a cage and yelled, "Stop. You have no idea how these things operate. Scare tactics are all that this is. They're attempting to force me to fold." However, the confidence he was trying to convey was betrayed when his voice broke on the final phrase. Janelle was already on the phone with Christine across town. Social media had brought the news to them in a matter of hours. Disbelief and a tinge of satisfaction were both evident in Christine's voice. "Are you aware of the significance of this?" Christine uttered those words. All of those property transfers and the money he embezzled might be examined if he is detained and found guilty. In fact, we might reclaim what is rightfully ours. Janelle had not yet begun to celebrate. It indicates that things will become ugly. Robin will not support him if he is a liability. And the children, my goodness, the children will witness their father being hauled out in handcuffs. When Cody attempted to call his lawyer back at Robin's, he was informed that the best course of action was to voluntarily surrender in order to prevent a spectacle. He winced when he heard the phrase, voluntary surrender, because, even if it kept the cameras away, he detested the thought of appearing weak. However, the cameras were already in motion. A TMZ photographer was parked across the street after receiving a tip, drones flying overhead, waiting for the right moment. Other outlets would flood the neighborhood within hours. Cody went to Robin in one of his rare moments of vulnerability. "Will you be here when I exit if I go in?" She didn't respond right away. Her expression was unclear as she stared at him for a long time. "That depends on how long you're gone," she finally responded. Like a death sentence, the words lingered in the air. The reality TV star Kody Brown was facing criminal charges for bank loan fraud and non-payment by the end of the day. An arrest is imminent. And Cody felt totally helpless for the first time in his adult life. Let us know in your comments. And stay tuned by subscribing our channel to get more updates like this. Thanks everyone.